Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Morning Sports Show. I'm your interim host sitting in for Mac and Linda. Mac, please continue to rest. We miss you. And these are my lovely, gently co-hosts today, J Train, James Martin, and B Striller, Bryant Art. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all today?
I'm good.
Doing well, sis. Hope you're well too. You too, Brian.
Doing well. You guys see I'm handling some mobile duties today, but the show must go on. Make sure you guys download the Roku app so that you too can be in the know when sports are going on over here 24/7 without the cost of cable. That's just my slogan, but it works. And thank you so much for all the follows and likes on Roku. Over 12,615 of you have gotten us to where we are. And we are just asking you to continue to share the word and share our station so that we can get to that big 15,000. All right, guys. So we're going to start off with March Madness. You see, I'm representing my blue today. Big Blue still in there. Duke, Cooper flag, raise your flag, salute. Cooper and company getting it done again. It kind of looked a little sketchy early on, but like you guys had both said in our last show on Friday with the fellas, Duke is a defensive team, and the defense did not come to play, or they did come to play.
Well, before we start talking about that, I saw in the chat that Keith says he's here in the back.
Keith is here. My apologies. Keith Angle, let me let him in. Thank you so much for letting me know, J Train.
You got it.
Hi.
And good morning to you, Keith. Thank you so much for joining. I apologize about that.
That's okay. You left me in the green room long enough. I ate all.
You ate all the stuff you said? Oh, did he go?
He disappeared real quick.
Oh my God, what happened?
I put the food back. I'm sorry.
I hit the button. Hang on, guys. Okay, Keith, you're there. Sorry. I am so sorry. Keith Angle, everybody. Good morning, Keith, our college expert extraordinaire, as we see.
Hi,
Keith,
guys.
how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
I'm good. I was just telling them. Wearing my blue today, and we'll continue to do so until, the big finale.
We got to wear that same shirt for another week now.
No, this is the dress shirt. So I've got Duke shirts that I've been wearing,
All right.
I've already got March Madness, and everything going on. And I'm sure you enjoyed, right, Keith? What did you think about the game?
Wow. Duke
That
is
big game specifically.
right now. Duke looks to be head and shoulders better than anybody from what they showed yesterday. Alabama's not known for their defense, but Duke was very good on their own defensive end, and they looked like the class of this field. But again, you're still got 2 games to go today, and I think you could very well see 4 number ones there for the second time only since we've been seeding these teams this way. I think it's been fun. I mean, I know people want to see Cinderellas, but I like to see the blue bloods once we get to this point of the tournament. And other than even Duke, Alabama, I mean, it wasn't a blowout until late, but never felt Alabama was in that game. The Florida game was the interesting game. They were down 9 yesterday with 3 to play. And the fact that they pulled that out yesterday was amazing. And momentum can sometimes carry a long way. So it'll be interesting to see how that helps Florida next weekend.
Yeah, definitely looked at that, and I felt the same way. I knew that Florida was probably going to be the one to come out on top, but you're right. There was some sketchy moments there. I'm gonna be honest. I was even worried a little bit about the Duke game early on because they were trading off. They would never let the lead extend beyond 10, and I felt like if you let these guys come within 10, then you're in the danger zone. But penalties and the such like, it looks like Arizona. Arizona. It looks like the Tide started kind of panicking in the end. Yeah.
Well, you live by the 3, you die by the 3, and they didn't shoot the 3 as well as they normally do. And especially once you get into, as you mentioned, panic mode, it's a little bit different because now you're not running your normal offense, and their normal offense is to find 3-point shots, but open uncontested 3-point shots. And yesterday, once they got behind, it started to fall further behind that second half. They, as you said, they panicked and just putting up bad 3-pointers. So again, that's the way the game is today. If you don't shoot well from behind the arc, you're going to lose these games.
Yeah. And that's exactly what everybody was saying. Live by the 3, die by the 3. And so congratulations to Duke getting it done. They will be facing that winner of Tennessee Houston, correct, Keith?
They will indeed. Tennessee's playing some really good basketball. Always a good defensive team. Rick Barnes, very underrated. He's had a couple trips to the Final Four, never been able to get over the hump. This is where he kind of usually runs out of steam, is about here, because this is another team that has challenges shooting the basketball, and Houston is a really good defensive team. This might be the lowest scoring affair in the Elite Eight. It should be. Might be the first one to 60 or 65 will win this game because they both play a lot of defense, and at times will go long stretches without being able to put the ball in the basket.
I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
Do you think Houston might be in trouble here because against Purdue? In that second half, they only, within the last 8 minutes, they only scored 4 points. Purdue was able to shut it down. And going against a defensive team like Tennessee, you think Tennessee might be able to pull this one out?
This is a coin flip for me. Houston, to me, is a really good team. They're full strength really for the first time in months. But again, they go, as I mentioned, and you pointed out there at the end of that game, James, they go these long stretches without really scoring anything, and you can't go 8 minutes, score 4 points, and win at this point in this tournament. I don't think. If that happens today, I think Tennessee wins this game. I'm going to say Houston wins, but if that happens, the team that shoots, I was going to say the team that shoots the best, but it might be the team that shoots the least worst. If I know it's bad English, but that's the team that'll win this game.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. It really is the team that shoots the worst, honestly, because we are getting to the best of the best, and that's why we are in this position. And let me also talk about that. Bistrilla pointed out that I had all number 1 teams in the last part of the bracket. Are all of the number 1 teams the only ones remaining now that we've eliminated those, or do we have one dangling number 2? I feel like
Michigan
there's a
State,
number
Michigan
2
State
somewhere.
Yeah, Michigan
Okay,
State's
yeah.
who they're playing today.
Okay, well, as they all say, good luck to all of them. What's the most interesting game you're looking forward to, Keith?
I think both of them are interesting. I like there's storylines in both. Rick Barnes has been coaching a long time and had trouble getting over the hump. Kelvin Kelvin Sampson has made a tremendous second or third act, if you want, at Houston, but hasn't gotten that ring yet. Tom Izzo, who's historically been a great March coach, but that's kind of faded in the last, probably maybe even 10 years. It's been a while since he's got 2 national championships, but it's been a while. He's a great story. He's the oldest coach that left in this tournament. And Auburn, Bruce Pearl, you got 4 coaches been around a long, long time, been very successful. 3 of them do not have national championships. 1 does. And Bruce Pearl's had really talented teams at Auburn and hasn't gotten past this point yet. So I think there's great storylines all over the place here. And so people, the casual fan who wants to see the double-digit seeds get to the Elite Eight and root for underdogs, this is probably not the tournament for them. But if you want to see really good, see the blue bloods and see really extraordinary coaches, guys who've had great careers, this has been a great tournament in my mind.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm super excited.
that Auburn versus Michigan matchup, I think, and even Tom Izzo said this is not one of the most talented teams that he's had in the past. But he's got Jace Richardson, son of Jason Richardson. I don't know if they can handle Johnny Broom and that kid, that freshman. I mean, those 2 guards are like some of the best point guard play I've seen in a while. And this kid, freshman, Pettiford, Tahard Pettiford, man, he could turn it on. And I don't know if they're going to have enough of them. I just think Auburn might pull it out against them.
They might. They're a scrappy team. They're not nearly as athletic as Auburn is. And Tom Izzo's teams often look less athletic than their opponents through the years, but they find ways to win. Now, I think the way the game has changed. Tom Izzo's approach has maybe fallen behind a little bit, as we've seen, as I talked about it. Well, he hasn't been unsuccessful. The last decade it was not nearly as successful as the previous one. He could. I mean, if Auburn's firing on all cylinders, everybody's in love with Cooper Flagg. I love Johnny Broom. I think he's a great player, maybe as good as Cooper Flagg. And we'll see which one gets drafted first. But if Auburn plays to their potential, and when they've lost, it's because they haven't done that. It's, they beat themselves more than they get beat. I think Auburn. So they could certainly win this game. Auburn's a favorite. It's funny. Bruce Pearl is doing everything he can to quiet all the talk about Michigan State being this big underdog against these great athletes at Auburn, because he doesn't like that narrative. But it is. Auburn should, on paper, Auburn should win this game. But I like Tom Izzo. I picked them to win the national championship just because it's the kind of team he's really excelled with in the past. Not a lot of big names, but they get it done.
And they really haven't had their shooting game yet either.
No,
there's usually one game in a tournament that Michigan State really excels at their shooting game. They haven't even had that yet.
Yeah, and they've been tested too. They had a really tight game with A&M already. Who did they play last year? I think they had 2 games where they
had Ole Miss and New Mexico.
Yeah. The Ole Miss game gave them a little bit of a test, so I think that helps when you get to this point too, when you've had a game like that under your belt.
Yeah, that's definitely, these teams have to get red hot now because this is the finale for them. Literally, win or go home. And so some of those teams that we have not seen the best performances, or we thought they were decent, they have to be above that. So they're going to have their best of the best shooting game coming into this, these last, Final Four? This last Final Four games. Yes, Final Four is here. San Antonio, the city of the hosting. Lots of fun in that city, I'm sure. And everybody is all ears because right now, even though, of course, I'm a Duke fan, it could go any way. Any of these teams are just as good, if not even better, than the teams that each of us probably believe. So it's anybody's ball, as they say right now. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Well, in reality, I think that Duke right now is standing out as the best because they're playing the best consistent basketball. And that's what it's about when you get to this in a tournament, is playing consistent basketball. They never have a streaky shooting The defense is playing pretty solid. Everybody else, you can say they go through streaks. Auburn goes through streaks. They went through a streak with Michigan. So I mean, there's streaky teams left on the offensive side, and Duke seems to be the only one that's consistent enough. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And I hope that that's actually the truth for my own personal reasons. All right, Keith.
Yeah.
So that's go ahead, J Train. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it looks like indeed that Duke is the favorite, but it'd be a great matchup if Auburn gets past Michigan and gets to the Final Four, and either one of them or Florida will match up with them. But I don't see that. I don't see anybody.
Yeah, and Duke is the last ACC team remaining. Of course, this is their third out of the last 4 seasons trip to the Final Four. So super excited for them about that. No championship since 2019. It's time for a new T-shirt. And their coach is now up for amongst one of the winningest seasons as well. So just a lot on the line right here for that organization, that team. The Lady Devils, of course, eliminated the Tar Heels. I don't know. Did they play yesterday, guys? I know they were talking about some ladies games were on, but I didn't get a chance to catch all of those. Did you guys see the ladies teams?
It might have been Friday. I'm not.
Texas. There was a Texas versus some other team. I forgot yesterday. Forgot who it
Okay,
was.
I know Duke is supposed to be playing South Carolina State. Dawn Staley.
They will play
Lady
South
Gamecocks.
Carolina. Yeah, that's going to be a tough game for the Lady Blue Devils, but South Carolina is really good. But Duke's playing good basketball too. Been a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yes.
The women have been a fun tournament as well. And you know, I don't know if it came up on this show or maybe it was Wednesday night. Somebody brought up the fact that the women's there's more parity, but it's all the teams that win are always the top seeded teams. I mean, I don't think there's anything below a 2 left there. There might be a 3 left. In the
There's
Sweet.
Right.
LSU's got to play
Oh,
UCLA.
LSU's a 3, right? Who's not normally a 3 either. So it's a kind of an aberration that they're a 3. So they got
Yeah,
Kim Malarkey.
lots of mix-ups.
I like to call her Kim Malarkey down there.
Yeah,
Oh
Texas,
yeah, the Barbie.
Jeez.
Texas beat Tennessee yesterday. USC beat Kansas State. Notre Dame got beat by TCU, and UConn beat Oklahoma. Look out for UConn.
USC's been a
Yes.
great story too. They found a way to get it done without Juju Watkins. That was impressive. Now they're going to run into Geno's, who's been blowing teams out of this tournament. By the way, they might be the most impressive team. South Carolina still would be the favorite to me, but UConn has just been making mincemeat out of everybody in this tournament so far.
Miss
Yes,
Buchner
sir.
there to pick up the helm, who is now projected to be a WNBA the number 1 draft pick. Buchner, her first name I think is Claire or something. I can't think of her off the rip, but she's the number 1 scorer. So like everybody says, look out for the Huskies. They're probably gonna, in my opinion, they may be a threat to repeat. So I just cannot wait to see what that looks like. But that's definitely going to be a good game coming up. Yeah. So Keith, while I got you in here, let's switch gears. You know, when it's only 4 teams left, you can't talk about them, but for so much now that the majority of the teams have been eliminated, the talk goes by pretty fast. Let's get your opinion on something. It's funny because this morning I had insomnia again. J-Train, let me just tell you, you were absolutely amazing on yesterday's show with Jack. It literally felt like I brought up the fact, yes, we had to check Jack. Okay, so Jack, we miss you. We know you're traveling today. We had to check Jack yesterday. He got out of line and he was over talking like he always does.
No.
But yesterday, and I watched it this morning because sometimes I try to watch it back, just to see if there's anything I can work on presentation wise. But it was so funny because we were talking about Shedeur Sanders, to talk every week about what position he may go. And Jack just came out the gate just hurling insults at J-Train, saying that he felt like Shedeur was going to go to the Saints and then talking about how bad of an organization. And J-Train was just like, okay, Jack, let me speak here because we don't have a lot of time. And he just went, when he said that from that moment, it was hilarious. But I do want to get your opinion, Keith, not necessarily about that specific part, but about the fact that Dion has come out now and apparently backtracked some of his wording. I'm a little more gracious. Basically saying, no matter what team Shador goes to, he's going to be grateful. He doesn't want the media to continue this narrative about, Shador is going to be here or else he's going to be, involved in XYZ. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's very interesting. As soon as the chatter started around that Shador might start sliding in his draft, that Dion changed his tune. He knew he didn't have leverage. He didn't have the leverage. He wanted to have the leverage like Archie Manning had with Eli back in the day, right? Well, we all knew where Eli was going to go, and he didn't want him to go there. And he had the power to kind of manipulate a trade with the Giants. Dion doesn't have that type of leverage, and I don't think he really ever had it. But he thought he did, and that's when he was running his yap. But as soon as the last couple of weeks, and certainly the last 7 days, when it's apparent, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, he could still go in the top 5. We don't know what's going to happen. Somebody could move up and do something silly. But as soon as the talk started about him sliding, he changed his tune and said, wherever's good in the NFL, I don't really care. As long as we're in the league.
Right. Which was what we were supposed to have, in my opinion, to begin with,
Yeah. Yeah, and look at this. He is one of the most he's going to be the most well, this is saying a lot with DeMarcus Russell. Sorry, James, but he might be the most overdrafted quarterback by the time we're done in the history of football. PFF, who I follow religiously for their rankings, has him ranked 47th in this draft class. 47th.
Oh, Shador?
That's correct.
Oh my goodness.
Last I looked, they moved him. He's moved a lot. He's been for anywhere. They've only had him as high as 17 at any point.
Wow.
I meant to. Oh, I do have
J-Train, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just really have to go off of what I've seen him do in college and what the
he's up
numbers
to
are.
46.
I think it's just some things with PSF. I take PSF with a grain of salt. With a lot of players, I think.
I'm not saying that.
Watch him play.
Remember, they're not saying that's where he'll get drafted. That's just their rankings, right? And Cam Ward's 21 there too. So.
Right. I just think that I see a lot of greatness in him. I see a lot of great leadership in him, the qualities, and I saw great play. Considering what he had, don't get me wrong, he had Travis Hunter there, but he wasn't just throwing to Travis Hunter. He was throwing to a lot of guys that were on that team, and that a lot of those guys, when they get to the next level, will not be great players at all. And some of those guys. One guy last year went undrafted, I think, and I think he's either out of the league or he got cut from his team.
Yeah,
I'm just saying he made a lot of players around him better. A lot of players around him great, considering with the offensive line that he had. And his numbers, he's not a strong arm quarterback by any stretch of the imagination.
It's accurate.
But he is very accurate and precise. If you give him the time, and I think that the one Achilles heel that he has is just trying to hold on to the ball too long to make that one play that he can get. But other than that, man, it should be a great quarterback for some team. And just the evidence, again, being able to turn over Jackson State, and along with his father, who coached, and also, he's won wherever he's been at. He just won, and even with Colorado's no sliced bread either. They didn't do well until they got there, and so we'll see.
Let me be clear on one thing, though. I'm not saying he won't make it in the NFL. I'm not saying Cam Ward won't make it in the NFL. I'm just saying I wouldn't be using one of the top 10 picks in the draft on either one of them. The best quarterback of all time got drafted 199th. So,
if anything, I'll say you're very consistent because you said that about the quarterbacks in last year's draft.
Exactly.
So I don't have a problem with what you're saying. And that, to be fair. And to bring up your point, you said the best quarterback was drafted in the 6th round. I think some similarities and comparisons to. I mean, so should teams wait that long to draft somebody and find a gem like Tom Brady?
That's a one in a million. That's
anomaly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So I mean, it's fair to say that. I mean, because now we see where some guys they're trying to move Jackson Dart up. They're trying to move him up now into the late part of the first round, and to me, he seems like a second or third round pick. But he definitely is going to get moved up, and you're going to have some other guys like Kyle McCord. I'll be honest with you, I thought Kyle McCord's play at Ohio State wasn't all that great, but when he got to Syracuse, you saw a better side of him. I guess a different system, a different team, a different scheme, and everything. You got to see his talents a little bit more. So Kyle might be a little bit better quarterback than Jackson Dart is. I mean, to me,
Kyle McCord's a guy to watch later on. Again, I wouldn't be picking him before the third round at least, maybe even fourth, but he's a guy to keep an eye on. It. He's going to be a project. All these guys, none of these guys are ready to play today, I don't think. And if you're a team that needs a quarterback today and you start sticking them in there, you're going to have a problem potentially. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know. But Kyle McCord, he's got the quickest release of all these quarterbacks in my mind. I watched him play twice at Syracuse last year, once against the Hurricanes, where he was phenomenal. Of course, their defense was not any good. So, but there's a couple of quarterbacks that you can take later on and not risk the chance that you have of setting your franchise back by taking a quarterback so early. We see it happen a lot.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the most overhyped draft ever. I've never seen a draft this overhyped. And to what Jay Trading is saying, they're trying to hype up, Dart to put him in the bottom of the first round. To tell you the truth, I'm sorry. I just don't think any of these quarterbacks. This quarterback draft reminds me of the Kenny Pickett draft, where Pittsburgh drafted that number one pick. I was like, come on, really? Come on.
Was he the first quarterback to go in that draft?
Yes.
He was.
It was number one. He was the only one to go in the first round.
Like 18 or something, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, yeah.
That's where these guys ought to be going. That's where these guys ought to be going, the back of the first round.
Back in the first round, top of the second,
Yeah, I think we got really spoiled with the draft last year with having so many quarterbacks. It just seems like it's only natural that there's a lull this season with the draft.
True.
And the great thing about, again, the great thing about last year's draft, hindsight 2020, we've seen success with all the quarterbacks. I mean, even in preseason with J.J. McCarthy, notwithstanding, but everyone else, had some level of success. Two of them were up for Rookie of the Year, both Bo Nix and of course Jaden Daniels. But even Caleb shows. He was number one overall pick. It was a mixed bag, but he showed you why they drafted him. Just need a little bit of help.
I think he'll still be the best. I think he'll still be the best of those guys. Caleb.
His feelings probably higher than everybody else. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Keith, we appreciate you coming on. We know you got to jump off and do your show here. Stream of Consciousness coming up really here in the next 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Always good to see you. Have a great week, our friend, and we'll see you soon on Wednesday. On the
good Sunday, guys.
midweek
Keep
show.
your hands on the wheel. Keep your hands on the wheel there, Sonia.
I'm literally parking right now. I'm parking right now.
Right from Jack.
All right,
Right from Jack.
Right from Jack.
I think you ran Jack over a couple miles back, I'm pretty sure.
You know what's funny? I thought I saw him. I literally thought this guy was about to tell you guys. I think I just passed Jack.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, Keith. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Yeah, he's funny, guys. Keith Engel, y'all, and I'm actually pulling over as we speak. This is what happens when you are helping to host and you're also starring of the show. And so just want to thank Keith for stopping by. And true to form, I'm actually at my destination where I'll be doing the rest of the show. Right. So it's one of these, like I said, it's one of these times of season that everything is just kind of like, man. Good morning to you, Rick. Thank you so much for joining us. He said James has turned the corner. I guess has turned a corner, but is still polite and respectful. Yeah, James tried to get with me the other day too, Rick. So I don't know, ever since he's been out on this supposedly medical leave situation, he's just come back a different situation. I don't know if they gave him a lobotomy or what, but he is not the same person. He's not the same person at all. But we love James, and he's a great brother to the show.
Was definitely not the softer side of James. That's for sure.
No. I could not believe. I was like, oh wow, okay.
It's my Mr. McGee moment. If you're showing a reference, I know Richard probably knows that reference, Mr. McGee. Don't make me angry.
Absolutely. Let me see. It's a chat here. Okay.
That's Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, David Banner, Incredible Hulk. Yeah.
I'm getting ready to switch cameras, guys. You guys go ahead and continue to talk. I'll be right back.
Hey, I don't know how much you follow Major League Baseball, but did you see what the Yankees did yesterday?
I missed that game yesterday. What exactly did they win?
Oh, they beat the crap out of Milwaukee. It was like 20-9. They hit 9 home runs, set a franchise record. Judge hit 3 of them. Yeah, Judge hit 3 of them and had 8 RBIs.
Oh, I got to go watch the highlights. I missed that, man. I think right now I'm looking at how hot that LA is right now. The Dodgers are pretty hot.
The first 3 pitches of the game, all home runs.
Wow, that's a great way to start a game.
Up 3-0.
Especially if you're there. Were they at home?
Yes, they were at home.
Oh man, I can only imagine being at that game. Wow.
Yeah, them Yankees fans are going nuts, but poor Milwaukee.
That's almost a football score. Low scoring football game there.
Yeah, that's basically it's a great
field goals.
Yeah.
Wow, the pitching must have been awesome too. Then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did score 9 runs, so I mean, it's not like I guess it's kind of like playing zone defense when you got like a 34-0 lead. Sometimes you're going to give up a touchdown. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Prevent defense. Yeah. So I mean, they gave up 9 runs, but I mean, you scored 20. I mean, what does that make a difference? It's the stats.
Wait, what was the score again?
20-9.
Oh, I thought you said 9. No. So 20. That's my God. That's definitely like 3 touchdowns, man. That's crazy. 20-9.
A missed extra point. Yeah, they did a job.
So a few of those home runs must have been like grand slams, huh?
Well, they hit 3 single home runs. The other, let's see what they get here. The Judge hit a solo home run. The Judge also hit a grand slam, a solo home run, and a 2-run home run. So he was responsible for 8 of those runs, of those 20 runs.
Well, it's a great way to start off early in the beginning of the season here because, man.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We're talking about that 20-9 score the Yankees put on Milwaukee. 20 points in baseball.
What's most amazing? Most amazing about it was the 9 home runs, which set the franchise record for home runs. Considering that's the Yankees, that's pretty good.
Correct. Right.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
insane. All the way back to
that's
Babe Ruth
insane. Is that the highest that's ever been scored?
Well, for the franchise, for the Yankees, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you would think as storied as they are with some home run kings there, Maris and Babe Ruth, and you would think there may be more than that, but I guess not.
Mm-hmm. So they've homered 8 times, twice in their history. Once when they had Joe DiMaggio, and against the White Sox in 2007.
Wow.
And Aaron Judge had 8 RBIs. All that came off home runs.
They need to give him some more money. Give him some more money.
That's what the Yankees do. They're going to keep paying him until he do that.
Well, he's Mr. October in March.
Mm-hmm. speaking of October and March, the LA Dodgers are starting off their season 5-0. They swept the Cubs, and then yesterday, unfortunately, they swept the Tigers. The Tigers were in it, and they just don't have. They're missing a couple of batters. They're just not on LA's level. And right now, I don't really see too many teams that are on LA's level right now. They are playing some extremely good ball. So,
including Ohtani, he's cooking too. So
Yeah,
it's going to be the Ohtani
well.
versus Judge show all year, looks like.
Mm-hmm.
He may,
Barring no
as well,
injury.
he may as well ball out because he avoided prison. So there's that. He better play harder than ever because he's got a second chance at life, honestly. And
Yeah,
freedom.
Teoscar
Is he still
Hernandez.
considered DH? Is he still considered DH?
Who, Ohtani?
Yeah, or is he going to pitch?
He's pitching. He doesn't usually start pitching until what they do with him is they kind of warm him up to pitching. So basically, he's batting right now. He's just strictly as a batter, but they're going to start pitching him. He's going to start pitching pretty soon too. They're just warming him up. But Teoscar Hernandez, he had a heck of a series against the Tigers. He had at least 3 home runs in that series. A couple of times when the Tigers were up, he tied the game or advanced the score over them. So they got great players on their team. There's just no their pitching staff is pretty solid. They got great hitters on their team. Really, if you want to have some semblance of how good they are right now, I would compare them to Sonia's Duke Blue Devils. That's how good they're playing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bow down, folks.
How about Juan Soto with the Mets?
Soto, I don't know how they're doing so far. I haven't really checked out the Mets because it's like early in the season. See if they won.
I don't know if they played yesterday, but they're like 1-1. I think Soto homered a couple.
The Mets lost yesterday to the
Yeah,
Astros.
2-1. Yep, 2-1. Yeah.
So now they're 1-2.
Yep, 1-2. So I don't know if Soto's going to make that much of a difference on the Mets, to tell you the truth.
He started out so warm. He started out so hot though. Like on opening day, it was just like, bam, here we are. But I mean, it's such a long season.
It's 162 games. You can't.
Games.
Yeah.
That's a long season. Speaking of,
I don't think he's mad at having long seasons, considering he's got 15 years, $750 million.
Jeez. Yeah, seriously. The Phillies actually are at the top right now in the National League East. They are undefeated right now, 2-0. Marlins, shockingly, are right behind them, 2-1. And then you have the Mets. And then in the National League Central, the Cardinals are undefeated. The Reds are behind them at 1-1. The Cubs are 2-3. In the National League West, the Dodgers are 5-0. I guess they played more games than we realized. Okay.
Yeah, they played. Their opening season was a week and a half ago in Tokyo, Tokyo series, and they played the Cubs. That's why the Cubs are 2-3 as well. Cubs won their series
about
too.
The fact we didn't know that opening day had happened because they had it somewhere else. I mean, so much for America's favorite pastime that it opened somewhere else.
Well, it was due to the fact that they're trying to really work in the Japanese American baseball aspect, because the 2 pitchers that are on, majority, a few good players on the Dodgers are Japanese, Yamamoto, and I think his name is Sasaki, and then of course Ohtani. So you got those 3. They make a very large representation in Japanese baseball. So if they decide to do that, Cubs had some Japanese players on their team too. So it's just a crossover game. It's just weird that it started that early. That's all.
Is that the ones that Ohtani brought in? One of them was his friends. Is that who one of those guys is?
Yeah, I think it was Yamamoto was the one that he brought in.
Sasaki is like a highly touted Japanese pitcher, right?
Yep.
So yeah, he should be a big deal for them this year too. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got the like we said, the Padres are behind them 3-0 only because they have not had their extra games. As a matter of fact, their opening game was against the Braves, and they lost. They said it was one of the most highly attended opening days they had because Braves country travels, and so those are their ranking. Then the American League, the Yankees, of course, the American League is the one that I'm more familiar with all the time. Yankees are 2-0. The Orioles are right behind them at 2-1. Then you got the Royals are 1-1 in the League Central, American League Central, with the Guardians, wow, behind them 1-1. The American League West, the Athletics are 2-1, tied with the Rangers. And then so the Braves are like nowhere in that ranking. I'm trying to where the heck are they? I don't even see
They're
them.
At the
National
bottom
League.
right now, sis, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
0-3
why I was like,
because
there's
San
nowhere.
Diego swept them.
Yep, they're at the bottom.
San
of the
Diego's a
NL.
good team too. That's another team you need to watch in the National League. San Diego, they played very well last season as well. So, and they returned most of their starting pitcher and their batting order. So they should be respectable. They're
Yeah,
probably giving LA a run for their money.
what do you guys think about Rafael Devers, who got moved to DH and is now setting the MLB record for the most strikeouts in his first 3 games?
That's good. Let's hope he can keep it up.
Yeah, I don't know what prompts them to move somebody to DH. Is it just their performance? They feel like they'll do better in another role. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's about what it is. It's like like we have with Javier Baez.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna put him as DH. He's a good defender. He's not the particularly best offensive guy anymore, but he is a good defender. He we had him at shortstop for a while. We've even tried him at outfield because we're having a couple of our players on the Tigers are out for a while and they're outfielders, so they need somebody to go out there and help out with the outfield. But who they've had in there so far has done a tremendous job. I got to give it to them. But yeah, I mean, it's just based on performance sometimes, or maybe they got a lot of hitters that they're trying to get into the lineup, and the person that happens to be the odd man out is the DH. So, okay,
that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I had to ask because that's something I just never understood, and I just kind of wanted to see, if sometimes we explain to the audience to make sure everybody's on the same page or understands, and that's something I never understood because I'm like, if you're getting paid for one thing, but I mean, if you're getting paid, I guess it's like being on any job. If they feel like you are better at another position, they're gonna at least offer it to you. Or promote you. It's kind of like or demote you based on your performance. Now, the Yankees players are using a new batting style right now. It's a torpedo-shaped bat that they're using, saying it appears to be legal. But some people have an issue with it. They're having an issue with the shape of this bat. And according to CBS Sports, some people were saying it was not legal based on the shape of this bat. Are you guys aware of that? Did y'all hear anything about that?
no, but it explains the 9 home runs.
Yep. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like.
Are we going back to Sammy Sosa days when he was?
Right.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. They blew out. This is the reason why they blew out the Brewers 20-9. This type of bat. I mean, I'm kind of trying to figure out how does one team get a chance to use a different type of bat as opposed to the entire league being changed over.
What's the name of this organization again? The New York Yankees. That's
you know who
the
they are.
why. That's the reason why.
Yeah,
And
they
they're not
said
going to
that.
bet an eye at it until somebody, until the rest of the league, the rest of the league owners. That's who's got to complain about it is the league owners. So if a lot of teams get together and the owners say, "Hey, hold on a minute, man. No torpedo bats, bro. No, that ain't going to be working. Let's be traditional." Then that's when it's going to be changed. But until somebody makes us think about it.
They're saying what it is the barrel of the bat is a little further down and closer to the label, which is where their players actually clinch the bat at. So they've moved the grip basically where it's more accessible and easier for their play. I've never heard of such. I literally clearly it would look like they would have to get some type of clearance before they just run out there with these bats. And I guess they did, like you're saying, is New York. So that's how they are.
Yeah, I mean, it could be just something that whoever provides the bats, I don't know if it's still Louisville Slugger or not, but whoever provides the bats are just trying something different with the bat to see if it can, based on player performance and what the players are saying about how the bats are now, traditional bats, that is. Just moving the barrel down a little bit and getting more, because you get a lot of broken bats in baseball, and maybe this is a strengthening technique for the bat, so you don't break so many bats. Not that should be a problem for whoever makes the bats, because that makes them money. But whatever.
Right, that's true. I understand that. You agree, J Train?
Yeah, look, I'm all for trying to find the advantage that you can get, but as long as it's with the confines of the rules. But yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's a lot. Now, we're going to switch gears to NFL, my favorite topic, while we still got J Train on here. Jack, we miss you. J Train's got some obligations he's got to take care of here shortly. So the next 15 minutes we have him, we want to talk New Orleans Saints, which is something we rarely talk about on here. Now, it has hit the press that actually before the Saints were able to redo their deal, Derek Carr was actually seeking a trade. And speaking of trades, we have the Philly sports guy, Pags. Hi.
So what's going on?
What a surprise. What a treat. Good morning.
Hey, listen, well, I'm not traveling today. It's like it seems like every Sunday I've got something going on. So I figured I'd try to jump in this morning.
We appreciate you. Let me tell you something. As my grandmama used to say, the Lord will provide, because I was just saying that J Train has to leave at 9 and B Strilla and I were going to have to hold it down. So we hope you can hold it down with us. We're so glad to have you.
I am here all day today with you guys. So let's go.
Thank you, Lord. Literally. We're going to definitely talk Philly news and all that good stuff in here shortly. But I want to catch J Train's response to this, that Derek Carr, did you know Derek Carr was actually trying to seek a trade before he was able to finalize a deal with the Saints?
That's not a surprise.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Pax, I know you wouldn't be surprised. I'm asking J Train too, because he's about to skedaddle in a minute. J Train, can you hear us?
Yes. So are we still speaking about the Saints here?
Yes. Derek Carr had sought a trade early this offseason before he was able to secure a deal.
Yeah, he knows that the organization is not really happy with his play, and clearly he's been oft injured, and he wasn't happy there anymore. He's still not happy there, but he was looking to put his name out in the bin to see if he could find trade offers, and they were going to do so. But I mean, actually, they were not going to do so, and they did so because they realized, even with trade, no one's going to want to take on that heavy salary cap hit that that the Saints would take if they would trade him or just outright cut him. So they can't do it this year, but what they did was restructure him, which made more sense, gave them more cap space. More cap space this year, and allow them to trade him or cut him next year without taking a major hit. So it's just what it is. That's just the business of the game, and he's going to be the starter because at the beginning, when Kellen Moore came on, he said that Derek Carr would be his quarterback. And also Mickey Loomis was saying that Derek Carr is going to be the guy this year. But that's the only reason why, is that they're trying to save money. And because right now they're between 28 to 30 million under the cap. So that got them in a good place. Among other restructures that were there on some older aging players. But yeah, I'm not really happy about having Derek Carr here as a quarterback right now, but it's what it is. It's what we got to do. And I think Kellen Moore will make the best of what we can with him. And we've made some adjustments, got some other players. I like the little move with Brandon Cooks. I'm not looking for him to be the number one there, but I think that he will add to the receiver room and definitely some leadership there. So.
Okay, that's great. And since Pags didn't show up in his living room, he showed up in his Philly room. I decided to go into my living room. Pags, did you hear any rumblings about this? I know you were chiming in a little bit.
No, because it doesn't really matter to me what happens in New Orleans, especially since it's not going to really matter whatever happens right now. Like I said, I think that they are 2 years away from being able to become relevant. I think that this is, yeah, I got to imagine, like, you can't, in the midst of everything else that's going on, you can't start having a what are we going to do for a quarterback? And I think that that's really what drove this. The fact that he wanted to seek a trade, well, yeah, because he stunk, and I want to get the stink off of me, so let's go somewhere else, and think that I'm going to start somewhere. I don't think that he's good enough. He would have wound up being a backup somewhere. So I think he realized that too. And he's like, listen, this is the only chance I got to be a starter. I have to do everything I can to show that I am better than what I have been, and this is going to be my best shot here rather than go anywhere else.
Yes, and hello, Abigail. Thanks for joining us this morning. Strilla, do you concur with that?
I mean, I still have a feeling that, and I know J Train probably will have a difference of opinion on about at least Shedeur might fall down to the Saints. You never know, and it might be something that they're hoping for because Derek Carr did not have a good season last. What you got to actually be playing to have a bad or a good season. To tell you the truth, he didn't finish the season, so I mean, Derek Carr's really been not the greatest since he left the Raiders. I don't know. I mean, New Orleans is going through the transformation. I'm sure that if they have a better coaching staff there, it'll be better for the team. But we just got to see.
Yeah, that's what I did too. And hello, Brent. Thank you so much for joining. I think that's one of Strilla's guys, Brent.
Yeah, what up, Brent?
Good to have you on this morning. Yeah, I mean, as a fellow NFC South contender, I really don't have too much to add to that because, the Panthers have their own situation. It's not like we are, romping the South. But I will add to the quarterback woes that apparently are in New Orleans. It's been reported that Baker Mayfield is not expected to continue on the trajectory he's been with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've seen Baker in true Baker form have one good season and then a lull, one good season and then a lull, one good season and then a lull, where they're predicting him to have that not good season. And in fact, this is not me as a fan speaking. This is just the reports and Pags. If you've heard this or Strilla or even UJ Train, you can feel free to plug in. The Panthers are projected to make a solid run for the South this next coming season.
All right. I understand that they are trying to figure out how to create a little bit of excitement in Carolina. I mean, I get it. I understand. Hey, listen, let's create a story that fits our narrative well enough by saying
it's a fairy tale. Come on, Peg.
I mean, listen. I think Carolina is on the right path, but they are about another 2 years. I'm going to say maybe next year.
Yeah, I would say
if they have a good enough draft, if they can keep everything normal in the locker room, that next year they could make a run. To think that they're going to make a run here is wishful thinking, I believe.
So you think Tampa still continues number one, or Atlanta moves up?
I mean, I think Atlanta has the biggest upside. I think that Tampa, until Baker starts doing badly, you can't just say, oh, he has a good year, has a bad year. Well, he said last time I checked, he's been to the playoffs twice now in a row. So that sounds like he's had two halfway decent good years. So far.
Well,
does he have bad games? Yes.
Because the division is so bad, it hadn't been competitive. So,
that's not his fault, is it?
Right.
I tell you, as far as I've checked, Carolina hasn't done so many big leaps and bounds this year.
No.
What I will say about Tampa Bay, they did lose their offensive coordinator to the Duval. They lost to Jacksonville, so. We'll see, and they're projected to regress offensively a little bit because of that. but we'll see how they do. I don't know who they replaced Cohen with. I can't even think about their offensive coordinator right now, but
They
we'll
also-
see.
Previous
And I
season,
do
we
think
got new
Carolina,
coach.
I think
So,
Carolina
you know,
will progress a little bit. Yes, I think they will
Yeah,
progress.
they-
They look like they're doing a little bit better.
And Tampa Bay also lost their defensive line coordinator too. So
oh yeah,
they
the
lost
previous
lost
season
them
we
to
took
us.
their coach. The Panthers took their coach. So now that's all three pieces. So
Who is us, by the way?
Panthers
Lions.
took Dan Canales.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure who I was talking to.
Oh wow.
And so
Next Super Bowl-
I
next
tell you,
Super
I
Bowl
think
champ.
that Carolina will progress as long as their quarterback progresses, and I think that he will win 2 more games than he won last year, personally, because of him being better quarterback just from now knowing the NFL for a couple of seasons. But I don't think that they are ready to or poised to make a run. I think that you're going to see a big log jam right around 500 in this division, and you're going to still see until Tampa proves otherwise. I still think they're the team that is the team to beat.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that's understandable. J Train, I know you got to get out of here. I'm going to pause now so you can go ahead and make your exit stage left. So good to have you as always, brother. We will see you Wednesday on the midweek professional show, and have a great week.
You all have a great one too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming on, Pags.
Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you.
See you soon. All right. So, guys, that was hold on, we lost
you do?
somebody else. So sorry, Pags. That's what happens when you talk about the Panthers, you get put backstage. Just kidding. It really was an accident. I was trying to move James at the same
Sure.
time, and then I tapped you by
Sure.
mistake. So Pags, what's going on in Philadelphia news? I know there's some hockey plugs in. First, let's talk NFL first. Any major things going on with the Eagles other than continuing to romp through the country, celebrating and flying?
No, we're still the world champs.
Mhm.
I mean, you know what? Right now, everybody is trying to figure out who we're going to play first on September 4th. And I think
Hang on 1 second, Pags. I just thought about something. Have you met B. Strilla? Have you met Brian that's on the show with us now? Have you met him?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, I apologize. I forgot we have not done a show with you. This is Brian Art B. Strilla, Detroit Lions extraordinaire, 1 cheek and 3 toes podcast host. And this is the Philly sports guy, Pags, James Peglee.
Paye, however you want to say
Paye.
it.
Let me get the name right, of the Eagles. So let me make the proper introductions. My apologies about that.
I've actually saw Pags on here before when I was watching the
Yes,
show.
but I
So
wanted to
he's been
introduce
on.
you to, since we're now hosting
I
together.
understand that, yeah, but I've actually got experience listening to him. So
I was going to say, I mean, if there was a chance I was going to meet him, I would have been at the draft a couple years ago. I spent some time up in Detroit. I actually love Detroit. I lived in Warren, Michigan for a little while. So I have some strong
Tweezy.
ties to the Detroit area.
He loves D Tweezy. All right, so no moves on no roster moves though, right?
I mean, we lost our guys on defense. We lost the what I will call some weight. You know what I mean? I mean, Slay is still a great player. CJGJ is, Detroit can even say that he's actually, I think, a good safety and brings some swagger to any defense he joins just because of his attitude. Short of that, I mean, I think that they're poised to try to replenish a lot of things in the draft because I think that our offense has not changed one little spot, really. And, I mean, we had to change out one guard. So one offensive lineman is what we've lost on our offensive side. And on our defensive side, I mean, we lost some pieces, but our defensive line is, I think, the big reason on why we had to do that right now is because Jalen Carter is poised to become the richest player to ever play the game who's not a quarterback.
He is.
So
Poor moment.
He is.
Yeah, I mean,
until
I
the
think
next quarterback steps up.
Well, no. It's not even the corner. It's not even the quarterback. He's, like I said, he's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback probably
Yeah.
up until Hutchinson resigns. So that's probably how that's going to play. Because I think that those two guys are going to be the cornerstones of our individual defenses for a very long time. That being said, the only thing that's really big in football world is us trying to figure out who we're going to play on September 4th. And I think that there's only two choices. If I am the NFL and I'm saying who are you going to start off the season with? I personally think it's going to be Washington because that's a rematch of the NFC Championship game. The only other game that makes any bit of sense whatsoever would be Detroit, as that would have been the NFC Championship game that should have happened. And unfortunately, they didn't get past Washington. Washington was playing really strong, and when you have to replace 22 guys on defense, it's hard to pick up from the trash heap and hope that somebody is going to get through. I think they just had too many losses on defense, and it's going to be interesting to see how they recover from that this year and make this run, because I still believe, kind of like I believed last year, that the NFC Championship is going to have to go through Detroit. And I think that we're going to wind up seeing that this year. But I kind of believe in my own mind, if you don't start with Detroit in the beginning of the year, that's going to make for a great Monday Night Football game right around week 9 or 10.
I agree with that. Yeah.
What would you think about that type of matchup, Strilla?
Oh, that'd be great. It's going to be in Philadelphia. It's going to show where the Lions are at that time, especially if he says on Monday night and about week 9. That would be really good because that would show both teams where they stand at in the NFC. I like a lot of things that Howie's done in the offseason. You basically are just recycling older players for newer players. You got your rookies coming in there to start. I mean, hell, you had Quentin and Cooper just playing out of their minds. And I mean, that's the reason why you got rid of Darius Slay. And Darius Slay, I love Darius Slay. Obviously, he came from Detroit. He always shows love for Detroit and Philadelphia. So it was sad to see him go, but I understood the move. And I'm not on the same path with you with CJG. No, he was an ass when he was here. Excuse me. But he was an ass.
I think he brings a swagger to the defense. He may be an ass because he likes to talk a little too much, and the words get out. That's the problem. Like the words get out. Like he doesn't know how to keep it in the locker room, and I feel like that. But he does play, and he does add a little bit of swagger to a defense, and I feel like that you felt that 2 years ago. I think that I mean, you could say whatever you want, and listen, I wasn't in Detroit for that whole run, but he was one of the vocal leaders on that defense, whether you wanted to believe it or not, because he was that guy. And he had just gone to an NFC champion, just gone to a Super Bowl, lost, but it didn't matter. He joined Detroit, and he started to teach them how to win some games. Because that Detroit, if you remember the year before that, they were losing a lot of one-score games. And I feel that he didn't win them personally, but he showed them or helped them learn how to get over those humps and win some of those one-score games rather than continually lose them.
Well, you have to actually be playing to do that, and he didn't play past the Seattle game, so he wasn't worth anything until the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, he was missing tackles. Dan Campbell told him, "Hey, dude," because him and Ayuk were jawing. No, not Ayuk. Debo were jawing at each other, and he told him, "Don't go out there and get no penalty because you have this thing with Debo," and he got a penalty in a game. So no, he might be good for you guys. He might have been good for New Orleans, but he was an ass here. He was not a good player here. In fact, I was so happy he got off this team. It was because I like you. And when he first got on his team, I thought he was going to be, good because CJ, he was good at New Orleans. He was good in Philadelphia. I said, hell, that's good. I was kind of like this on it, but at the same time, I said, well, that's good depth for the safety safeties, and they could, Kirby can learn a lot off him too. And I'm not saying Kirby didn't learn anything off him, but you got to be there to be learning something. And I don't really think he did anything to change the culture that was already happening in Detroit in the first place. They still went 12-5 without him being in the lineup mostly. So I'm not even giving him props for that. He was a good player for you guys. And when he came back and won the Super Bowl again with you guys, he was a good player then. So he just wasn't a fit with us. I'll just put it that way.
No, and that makes sense. And to be honest, as they got, the reason why they got rid of him now was because he was no longer a fit for us either. Mm-hmm. Because again, you can't have the words come out of the locker room. That's part of the thing. There's a lot about his game that I can say mirrors Malcolm Jenkins, except the man himself. That's the difference. I think that the games mirror a lot about each other. But Malcolm Jenkins was a leader in a real sense. Like he leads men, and he doesn't let the BS of Twitter and social media and everything get the better of him, where I feel like CJGJ does. And that's kind of and that changes how you look at it in the process of that. And so hey, listen, I am happy that he was here this year. I think that he was an integral part of getting to where we had to get to get over the hump and win the Super Bowl. That being said, have fun where you're at.
Right.
And good morning to you, Linda and Mac. Thank you so much for joining us. We gave you guys a shout out earlier. Of course, we're hoping that Mac is resting, and we hope to see him soon. And again, everybody, like I said, make sure you find and rate us on National Streaming Sports on the Roku app. And we're there 24/7 and have over 12,615 likes, all because of you. So we appreciate you guys. And Miss Linda and Mac, have an amazing day. Yeah, that's a good point, guys. Like, you have to think about when players are at different teams, they literally have a different function for different organizations. Like, some teams, they get with them and it literally accentuates the talent they already have. Some teams, it literally diminishes. It's just, one or the other. And Brent says swagger is one thing, but stuff like that stupid ski mask crap made me out.
Yeah, that was bad.
Out on CJGJ, whatever that is.
CJGJ.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. He does some stupid stuff that makes you not want to take him seriously, and that will affect the locker room sometimes. I don't think it mattered as much because there was a little bit of extra swagger. Listen, I tell you, Quinyon Mitchell is one of the. I know it's hard to say when you have a nickname called Quinyanimo Bay that you were not spoken about enough, that you are quietly one of the best cornerbacks in the league, who likely should have been an all-pro, first team all-pro this year. And only reason why he's not is because nobody really knew him. Nobody really knew what was going on. But they didn't throw his way because he was like glue on whoever he covered. And you just can't – he's going to be amazing. Cooper DeJean is is great, but he's not Quinyon Mitchell. You know what I mean? And I don't need him to be Quinyon Mitchell because there could be only one. And Quinyon is going to be, barring any injury, he's going to be great like that for a very long time. That guy, I dare I say right now, his trajectory is Hall of Fame in 12 years. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I see him having a 12-year career. I see him being in the Hall of Fame because he's quiet. He does his job. He ain't got nothing else to do except do what he does best and end a story. He just wants to work, wants to do his thing, and win rings. And I can't ask for anything more than from a player.
And you got to remember, he's a rookie, so he shouldn't be talking stuff anyway. because
Exactly.
that's rookie needs to be quiet, just like Cooper DeJean. I think the thing that CJGJ is about, though, I always have this adage: if you play like Dion, you can talk like Dion. If you don't play like Dion, don't talk like Dion. And that's what I give to CJGJ sometimes, because he talks too much, and you're not I don't believe he's the best safety around. So
Well, no,
you know.
and but what I do think is that the talk is part of his game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind a guy who talks a little bit, but what I do have I do have some of the problem. You know what I mean? I do have, like, you can't have it start to get out into social media. You can't let words of other people bother you so much that you got to respond. You know, it's like, come on, be a man.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
stop being a baby. And that's
Yeah,
kind of
be
some
petty.
of that's kind of what I see from him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, some people need the talk to be able to make themselves better, because ultimately poking the bear sometimes works in your favor and sometimes works against you.
Against you, yeah.
You know, like you said a couple years ago, he was poking the bear and he wound up being the one that got called for it.
Yeah.
And that hurt your team. Going
Mhm.
the opposite way, there's a lot of times where he pokes the bear. You could say that he took Travis Kelce out of the game and with that first hit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean, that's a very strong possibility that you could say that actually occurred. I can't, I wasn't on the field. I didn't hear what they said afterwards, but I know that Travis Kelce didn't have a Travis Kelce-like game.
Mhm.
And did it have
He was
how much
isolated.
of that hit had to do with that? I can't really say. But
Yeah, he was.
he's going to be on a really good defense. I mean, he's in Houston now, right? I think that's where he went.
No, he went to. Did he go to Houston? Yeah. Did he go to Houston? I thought he went somewhere else.
I think he is in Houston. I'm not 100% certain, but I'll
Cooper
do my
DeJean?
research right now.
No,
No, Cooper DeJean is-
CJ.
Oh yeah, I was like Cooper
The
DeJean.
CJ Garner Johnson got traded. Let's see. It was back. It was like 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
He is now a
I was
I thought he
looking
went to
too.
Houston Texan. You're right. Correct.
So, and they have a really good defense there. Again, I feel like that's one of those spots where he's got a coach that might be able to quell him a little bit. Because that coach has got a pretty strong resume as well. Yeah, I played in the NFL. I've been that guy. I've been the guy you're trying to be. So don't test my patience that way. Give us that swagger. Give us that strength. Keep it out of the social media.
Yeah, Dan Campbell was a player too, so I mean he understands all that hoopla that goes on during the course of a season as well. It's just that you have to, as an individual, you have to want to. And as far as the lines are concerned, and the culture is, if you want to be here, you be here. If you don't want to be here, you're going to show reasons why you don't want to be here. And that's, I think CJ just didn't want to be here. He just took the contract to get a paycheck until he got picked up by Philadelphia the next year, because everybody knew that was going to happen. So he was just here. He was just here for a vacation, kind of, I guess you could say. And and if he goes to Houston, and and that head coach gets to him, then that's fine. I mean, right? He's got to realize now he's going on a downward path of his career, because he's getting older, and defenses aren't going to, people aren't going to be getting him anymore just because of his, if he plays well, yeah, but he hasn't really. He played good in a rotation with Philadelphia. I'll put it to you this way: I didn't see he might have made a couple of impact plays for you guys during the season, but you want somebody that, like Malcolm Jenkins, you want somebody that's going to continue to make impact plays on a consistent basis. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. This is the exact reason why nobody listens to this Jamie Lindsay guy. All right, he's a Tampa Bay fan, and really, I mean, nobody really likes him down there either, because he doesn't know football. To say that Cooper DeJean only had one interception all season long and didn't do anything else shows how stupid you are when it comes to football. That's why nobody listens to anything that you say. to think that the Eagles aren't going to win a Super Bowl anytime soon. Again, you guys don't have any chance. You guys beat us one game in a day where they had a hurricane and it was 200 degrees and the Eagles were so ill prepared they didn't want to be there. So you learn how to actually win games in your own division before you start talking to me there, Jamie, because we are the world champs. And last time I checked, you're still crying about Banana Ball. So go cry about Banana Ball and get off my page.
Oh my goodness. All right, we got some comments that are coming in right now. Oh Lord have mercy. Hold on, let me go back before I get to this other person. Hi, Jamie Lindsay. I didn't even realize you were commenting.
This is who I was talking about.
He says DeJean great. He's not great. He made one play okay, so you must have saw that comment, Pat.
I did. That's why I had to go ahead and mention something. Because Jamie's like 4'6". He's got a big Napoleon complex. He's a Tampa Bay fan who dresses up. Hey, he paints his face a little bit like the Ultimate Warrior. He tries to be like all big and bad and stuff like that. But he's in Tampa, so it's he's got like one of those big trucks. He's got to overcompensate for a lot of different things. But all his Jamie stick together.
Yeah, hi Broski Bear.
Hey, Broski Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Chicago Bear fan, obviously.
Yeah, Brad Kryson says, hi guys, checking in. Jamie, NOLA day today. If the Phillies stay healthy, we can go all the way. Hello, Brad. Thanks for joining us. One of the Philly sports guys followers.
Brad
And
is definitely he is one of the Philly faithful. A little bit of a homer. He's a little bit of a homer, but we love Brad.
He said, shut your mouth. The Philadelphia Eagles will win another Super Bowl. Let's Paz, we always love to have you come in because we don't get enough Philly news until you come in. So thank you. We'll come back to you on some other Philly sports in just a second. But I want to get y'all's opinion. I was just looking while we're here. Everybody knows Kirk Cousins wants out of his contract with Atlanta now that he's milked them for the money that they've gotten. And so he's been spotted up there in Ohio this weekend and made known of it. I mean, hashtagging himself at Chipotle, and they're hashtagging Browns in the caption on Twitter and X and all this stuff. He's taking pictures with employees at Chipotle. Then he went to some barbecue joint in Avon and took some pictures there, and they're hashtagging Browns there. And he was making himself really known throughout, like with regular heyday people, visiting throughout multiple establishments in Northern Ohio over the course of the day, which was Thursday. It's no secret that he's gone to Arthur Blank and said, hey, I'm not here for a backup position. Yeah, you guys paid me, but I want out. Trade me. And Arthur Blank's like, nope, we paid you. You're going to sit down and just be here in case we need you.
Did he go to the Christmas Story house? He hasn't been there. He hasn't been everywhere in Cleveland unless you go travel just 20 minutes outside of Cleveland and go to the Christmas Story house. You got to take a picture in front of the Christmas Story house and be like, Ralphie, I can't get up. Because that's kind of what Kirk Cousins is.
Yeah, right, it doesn't look like he went there, but there is a connection. Kevin Stefanski was Cousins' offensive coordinator in Minnesota. So let's not forget that that's a very vital piece. The Browns do need a quarterback, and Cousins is apparently waiting until after the draft to try to facilitate once again a trade out of Atlanta. What do you guys think?
How would Cleveland pay him?
Right.
That's my question. I mean, what they're gonna say? Okay, because you're going to try to be. Is he trying to make Atlanta fit the bill? Is that how that's going to work?
I don't know. Nobody's paying that gazillion dollars for him.
Well, they already flipped the bill. They already gave him guaranteed money.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. So, it's like they're going to be. You're going to trade me, and you're going to eat all that. I mean, I guess that makes sense a little bit, but you gotta. I mean, I just don't think that Kirk Cousins. Listen, it's time to retire, buddy. It's time to retire. You haven't been able to win a game on prime time forever. You know what I mean? So that's your MO. Going to Cleveland, I guess that's a good place for you to go to die. That's like when the horse goes out to pasture. You know what I mean? You go lose in Cleveland for the rest of your days. I don't know what else you're going to do there. You're paying a quarterback who likes massages, and you're playing a defensive guy, the highest paid contract to ever get played the game, and you can't afford anybody else because those two guys make up 3/4 of your payroll.
Yeah,
So
Deshaun doesn't come back though. I don't think
ever.
they've got to
Ever.
do something, right?
So I mean I think that they were hoping that everything would have fallen apart and they wouldn't have had to pay the contract, but they're
Right.
stuck paying it, and it's still going to cost them. And I don't know what you're going to do with Cousins. I mean, unless you can get him there where Atlanta eats all of that contract.
That's
They're going to
crazy.
eat it all anyway, so it doesn't make
They're
a
gonna have
difference.
to make-
Atlanta's being a bunch of spoiled brats too about the whole situation. If he wants to be out of there, you didn't promise him that he was going to be a backup. You said he was going to be a starter. You paid him
Yeah.
starter type money, and then you're going to tell him, no, we're not going to let you go because we paid you all this money. No, that's your fault. That ain't his fault. That him and his agent worked that out for him. He did like he does in every team he goes to. He steals the money. So I mean, Atlanta's being a bunch of babies about it. That's what they're doing.
Broski, we'll come back to your question for Pags in a minute about another sport. We're going to stick to NFL right now. He says Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers both need to hang it up. Y'all, I'm telling you, this is like an ongoing saga with the both of them. I think they were drafted around the same time, if I'm not mistaken. It's not, at least maybe a couple of years in between the two. But they've been in the league double digits years now. And you know, double digits for us is one thing in the lay world, but for a quarterback and a journeyman quarterback at that, now you know once you get past the 2 teams mark, you become a journeyman a little bit. Aaron Rodgers is now getting ready to be on his 3rd team, if he gets there, and actually the way he's supposedly dainted around with the Steelers, who have offered him this bone, so to speak. He's not biting, and it's
That's not true.
like,
That's not true. I actually heard something about that, and I don't want to. So they're making a big deal about it. Is what it is. Is Pat McAfee is about to go do this big show out in Pittsburgh, and I think that that's the only reason why they're keeping it quiet is that he's going to be announced on that show, which is happening April 9th.
I believe that because him and Pat are like that. He stays up on
So
the
that's, I think that that's the only reason why you haven't heard. But you rest assured. Listen, Pittsburgh's got everything else except a quarterback right now, and they haven't done anything. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, whoever they got on their roster right now, who's been Mason Rudolph, I think is who it is." And I think that Mason, the reason why Mason's still on the team was to make sure that the wide receiver, because him and the wide receiver are like best buddies. So they wanted to make sure that that guy stayed happy. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. There is no doubt about that. There's no way he's going to sit out a season. There's no way that you can't. Listen, the moment you stop playing, you stop playing forever. And I think that Aaron Rodgers understands that. So I think he plays this year for Pittsburgh, and that gets announced on April 9th when they have this big event for Pat McAfee.
That's so amazing that April 9th is that day. That's actually my dunkle who I dedicate my show to. That's his birthday. He's no longer with us, and he actually was friends, grew up with Joe Gilliam from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they went to school together when they were kids, and they were friends, and so he was a Steelers fan. And so how ironic and iconic. I wish he were here because he would not care for Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just know how he was, and he passed before the Aaron Rodgers we've seen with the Jets, which became Pansy Rodgers, in my opinion. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Rodgers kind of has a mental bounce back with that discipline that Pittsburgh has, because Tomlin is not going to go for those shenanigans that Aaron Rodgers did with the Jets and he ultimately did with the Packers before he left.
Yeah, I don't think that that's even a worry. I think that I think that Pittsburgh is a good team. As long as he can be a serviceable quarterback, they're going to win 10 or 11 games because that's what Pittsburgh does every year. I know that they've got a lot of good pieces there, and as long as he can throw the ball, as long as he can throw the ball and be 65% or 62% accurate, they're going to win 11 games. And they may. I still got Houston going to the AFC Championship game. I'm not sure who's going to be the other team. I don't think Kansas City. I think Kansas City takes a step back. I feel that it could be. I say San Diego, LA, but I just don't trust that team either. It could be the Bills. I know that they're the ones that everybody is like the popular pick, but like I wouldn't be surprised if Miami steps up a little bit this year. But I got Houston there. But it wouldn't surprise me that if it's not Pittsburgh, it's Baltimore. I know that Baltimore's coach just got Harbaugh got a 3-year extension.
I was just about to talk about that. You read my mind. I literally have the notes right here. Thanks, Pags.
So, but that's like I said, I know that I don't trust the quarterback there either. Like I know that he's a great quarterback, but I feel like he's Michael Vick, and with Michael Vick, if you pay attention to Michael Vick, you beat Michael Vick. And that's kind of the same way here. It's like I think that's how you beat Baltimore. You pay attention to their quarterback. And so it's possible that they could make it to an AFC Championship game and win a playoff game for the first time in forever, it would seem. But I wouldn't necessarily hold my breath on that.
Yeah, I don't know if that comment. Let's see. Hi, Miss Linda again. Thank you for having a great show. I don't know if that comment about Turner and Real Muto that's not NFL related. That's baseball.
That's baseball. That's baseball.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to the baseball questions in a minute, guys. We got a couple of those. It's just interesting to see. Let's talk about some NFL free agency grades right now. There's been a lot of moves around the league, and Davante Adams to the Rams is ranked number 1, along with Justin Fields going to the Jets. I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm not 100% still sold on Justin Fields as a starting quarterback. I just feel like that time has come and gone where he was. And I'm in a franchise like the Jets, even though they've had a lot of players in place, I feel like the Aaron Rodgers cloud will continue to loom for a little bit. That locker room needs to get some discipline back. And I don't know if Justin Fields is the one to go in there and revamp that. So I don't know about that trade being the highest one, but I will agree to Davante Adams trade to the Rams. What are you guys' thoughts?
I'm going to let you do it.
Well, at least for the Justin Fields thing, I think Justin Fields is one of those quarterbacks that's on a wrong team at the wrong time. I think he's a capable quarterback. We'll see what AG can do with him with the Jets. They moved. He wasn't the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh last year, but he started because Wilson was out. He did a pretty good job. I'm not saying he was lights out or anything like that, but he was 4-2 with them. So he was capable. A lot of things. It depends on the teams that you go to. You can't always measure what they did before, always to what they're going to do ahead of time, because it depends on the coaching. It depends on, let's face it. Tomlin is not a quarterback's coach. He's a defensive coach. And, ever since Ben Roethlisberger left there, that whole team they win, and it's because of the defense most of the time. They win, but they don't know how to pick a quarterback. They don't know how to pick a quarterback right now. So, it is what it is. And they don't have Wilson or Fields. So
both of those trades, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
that's how I feel. That all the movement that happened in this season has all been yawn. That's kind of how I feel. I know that there's been some big names, and how somebody's going to make a difference. Deebo Samuel to Washington. I would have put higher than Davante Adams going to the Rams. Because you had Cooper Kupp there. So Cooper Kupp going to Seattle was a big one. Why did Seattle trade their quarterback? I have no idea. I feel like that was a bigger deal than some of these other things. I think that people are just whoever wrote that article has got Devontae Adams on the brain because they love Devontae Adams. That's about it. That I don't think that was the number one.
This is
you know,
CBS Sports ranking. It's a
Yeah, and
CBS
I think
Sports
that
ranking.
that doesn't surprise me. That sounds like a homer type thing to Devontae Adams. Like, oh yeah, Devontae.
Cody Benjamin was the writer of that article.
He sounds like a homer.
I do want to say real quick while we're like in between that. Broski Bear says in theory Rodgers to Pittsburgh makes sense, but so does Rodgers to Minnesota. Aaron is waiting for the Vikings to say JJ isn't a guaranteed starter.
They've already said that, Broski.
They've already mentioned that, Broski.
They've already said that. The team owner already said that he's their number one.
Mm-hmm. Broski says he's also busting Fields because he's the bridge quarterback. He also says it's his 5th season. He's not even had 2,600 yards.
It's always a Chicago fan. Always a Chicago fan.
Going in for it. And Brad, of course, continuing to rah-rah Pags here. We know you're a Pags fan. He's mentioned several times in the comments that the Eagles are America's number one team. Thank you so much, Brad. We recognize that. Thank you. Congratulations again. I don't know, guys. So what are your thoughts on Devontae Adams then? Like, was that a high trade or not really? Just meh?
I mean, it's good for Stafford. I mean, he's got another weapon to throw to. So, I mean, and he's a veteran.
I feel like the Rams jumped the shark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like it sounds, it's that they definitely date that statement definitely dates myself. But that's exactly kind of what I feel. I feel like that they are so far beyond. I mean, I know that they made a run, and you could say that they were a sack away from beating us in the playoffs, and I don't think so. You know what I mean? I think that they're still a bit away. But, I mean, you had Cooper Kupp, and all of a sudden you're like, no, we're not going to deal with Cooper Kupp. Now we're going to have Devontae Adams, who, last time I checked, has been a cancer in locker rooms every time that he's gone somewhere. So
he's a junior to Aaron Rodgers. That's his, BFF. And you could throw Lazard in there with him. It's the trio of toxicity. Anybody that's a branch from the Aaron Rodgers tree, get ready for the drama. And that's why I am not sold on him in Pittsburgh unless Tomlin brings the hammer down and make sure that Rodgers doesn't come in and trying to run the locker room. And he's a coach killer. He is a coach killer. He is literally he's not a team player. He's, like I said, last season, instead of, bonding with your new team, you're somewhere sniffing mushrooms and on these retreats over in Honduras and Nicaragua and wherever you are. But you're not.
What you do? You sniff mushrooms?
Yeah, that's what I say. I always say he sniffs them. I don't know. You sniffing them and lining them up and cutting them or whatever, powdering them down. I mean, that's why
actually, and I'll be honest, that's not how you do ayahuasca.
No,
ayahuasca is a very we won't get into that. I don't want to start to tell people, but
he takes the shit type mushrooms.
Shiitake.
Notice I can't say none of it. See, Pags, you're the expert on all these herbs.
These mushrooms. I don't know that I want to be that guy, but
I mean, let's just be clear. There's a reason why Pat McAfee is always geeked up. I mean, he must live off of a Monsters IV or Red Bull IV. And, no doubt, whatever he's on, same Kool-Aid that Aaron Rodgers has. That's why he's always running up under him. So Broski's coming back, a Bears fan, dialing it back. Let me rephrase that. Aaron is waiting for the Vikings to change their stance. Sir, we've already addressed that. They're not going to do that. We appreciate the rephrase, but unless you've not, been under a rock.
He's just trying to hope for that something's going to change that make his Bears more relevant in that division. Sorry.
Yeah, the Bears is busted. Brent says the Rams already gave Philly the hardest game in the playoffs. And if Adams clicks with Stafford, it could be a good signing. Locker room issues, though. So, we see that happening. Draft rankings, and then we'll switch over the last couple of minutes for Phillies baseball. let's see. This whole Shador Sanders thing, Pags, I want to get your opinion on it. I know we've probably browbeat it. Strill and I have already talked about it. J Train and I have. This whole involvement with Dion, the daddy apron strings, let's make sure that, we get Shador where he wants to be or else. Now he's dialing it back. Oh, I'm so sorry. He'll be happy wherever he is, even if it's with the Titans or the Browns or even if it's in Timbuktu, as long as it's an NFL team. What are your thoughts on the involvement, the now dial back, and where do you think Shador actually goes in the draft?
They have been doing this for years, so I don't think that that's any big deal. I mean, listen, that's his son. He's going to say whatever. He's like, yeah, I want him in the NFL now. I'm gonna backstep it a touch. I want him to be in the NFL. Truth of the matter is I think he wants him to go to the Giants because I see Brian Debo as being the guy who's going to wind up getting fired first. I think that the Giants are still a mess, and I think that Brian is going to be unfairly fired soon. And I think that that's where you're going to see Deion Sanders coach. That being said, I listen, Archie Manning did it. There's always going to be.
Wait, hold on, Pags. Did you say that's where we're going to see Deion Sanders coach?
I think so.
That? Well, because it's so weird. They just extended Deion 5 years his contract with Colorado for $54 million, all the way up to 2029. He gets $10 million this year, $11 million the next 3 years, and then $12 in 2029. So you're saying they break
but you saw the one thing that's the most important part out there. It's a $4 million buyout.
Yeah, that's true.
$4 million to buy him out of that contract. And that's cheap money. There's the reason why they did it like that.
And you were wrong, and you're a liar. Get your facts together, sir. Go ahead, Pags, with what your thoughts were on Shador. Broski's, their garbage team will never go anywhere. Never been since '85 and will never go again. Now that's that.
So I believe, I just believe that it's. I look at New York as maybe the stop point for him. I think that as much as Deion wants to, like I said, you've had coaches or you've had fathers trying to tell their sons or try to dictate to the NFL where they want their sons to go. John Elway's father was very similar in doing this and stuff like that. So This is nothing new. This is absolutely nothing new. So I think that as long as there's going to be fathers, the fathers are going to want to have their sons play wherever they can have them play that makes sense for them. And I kind of believe that it's going to be in New York.
Yeah. John Gonzalez, good morning. Thank you for joining us. He said Sanders could go to the Jets at 7 or Saints at 9. A lot of talk about him going to the Saints at 9.
He won't make it that far. There's too many trade. If he makes it down to the Saints, he won't go to the Saints because the Saints will do the smart thing and trade that pick for somebody who's going to give up a couple of first-round picks. See, there is where I would say you could check on Minnesota. Minnesota would be the team that could trade up, trade a couple of future picks to have to go grab Sanders, because I don't think they believe in JJ either. I think that JJ is a good locker room guy, but I don't believe that they think that he is a good enough quarterback to really take the reins. And I think that that's why they would go after Sanders and they would give up a couple.
The only thing about that I disagree with there, Pags, is the fact that you don't even know what you have in JJ yet. One, and you used the number 1 pick last year on him, so I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that understanding. They bring if they bring Shador Sanders in there, then they basically busted their franchise, because you just signed a number 1, a quarterback at a number 1, and he had a bad injury that put him out for this first year, but you haven't even seen what he can do out in the field and playing in a real NFL game yet. And that's just jumping to assumption. I think what they should do is just go out there and get them a veteran quarterback to back him up, because anybody, let me tell you something. Sam Darnold had a great year last year. You know why he had a great year last year? Because he had a quarterback whisperer as a coach, and he also had a good offense to work with. So you can put anybody behind there, and they did bump up their offensive line. So they'll better protect, at least on paper. But at least they'll be able to better protect. So JJ's got all the weapons there for him. You know what I'm saying? It's just I don't understand this whole
Spoken like a guy
why
who
wouldn't-
definitely goes blue and is not a Spartan fan. So,
Yo,
by the
why
way,
wouldn't the
I love all my
Saints-
Michigan teams.
Yeah,
You got
why
nothing to do
wouldn't
with
the
Michigan.
Saints keep him then, because they're not sold on Carr. It would make sense that they would let Shador come there, because Carr is not the quarterback of the future, no matter what they've extended him with.
well, no, and I get that. Like I said, I don't think that he's going to make it that far down. I think that there are too many other teams that will trade up for Shador Sanders. I think that that's a real statement. And I think that somebody will leverage a little bit of their future picks for him. So he won't make it to number 9. I think that there's going to be somebody who believes in him more than anything else. So I'd say, and I know, you could say whatever you want to. I still believe that the Raiders are probably the team that could possibly, that he'll stop at the Raiders, even though they played this whole trade and stuff like that, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah. I'm not really concerned about that either. I just think that, you could say, to add even to what you're saying, the one thing I've heard about J.J. McCarthy is that he is a master at watching film, and that Darnold learned a lot watching film with J.J. Not necessarily what's happening in the film, but watching the film and getting what you need to get from the film. That Darnold learned a lot from that, and he's taking a lot of that from J.J. McCarthy. And I've heard that about him, which is what makes him a really good locker room guy to have there, because he is a student of the game. And that's really important. But the last guy I remember being an amazing student of the game was Doug Peterson. That's the last one I heard that has very similar mentality level. And Doug Peterson was an okay quarterback, but I mean, also taught other quarterbacks how to watch film and play the game and learn some of that stuff. So there's a piece of me that feels that although he is a great student of the game, is he going to be a good enough quarterback? I can't answer that question yet. You're right. You don't know what you have. And are you willing to risk a season where you have a lot of potential on a guy that you're not sure about?
Yeah, he
Well,
said
based on-
Shador's probably
listen-
going to slide back like Lamar.
Well, based on the fact that, again, I live in Michigan, so I watch all Michigan and Michigan State games. When he played on Michigan, he was just basically a game manager. And that's all you really have to do with this Minnesota offense is be a game manager. That's what Sam Darnold was. He was a game manager. And if he can do that, he'll be fine. Nobody's asking him to go out there, and be touchdown Joe. You know what I'm saying? He's got to be just managing the game. He's got enough running back support. He's got an offensive line. He's got great receivers and a great tight end. I mean, he's got a ready-built offense, and that's what you want for your quarterback. If you're bringing in a new quarterback, you want weapons around him so he can succeed. And that's all really they need to ask of him.
Didn't they lose a couple of players on their offensive line, though?
But they replaced them with better offensive linemen. That's
okay. I don't know who they replaced them with, but I know that I saw that they lost a couple of guys, and that's
Bradbury, the center. They lost him, but they replaced him with Kelly, the center from Indianapolis, which is an upgrade.
All right. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Listen, I mean, you won all those games to have a first round exit. That's no bueno. You know what I mean? That's so you gotta figure it out and get over that hump. That's going to be a tough one, especially in that division. That division is not a simple division. And now you're playing the NFC East this year, which has got, like I said, I mean, Dallas has fallen off. Obviously, the Giants are a train wreck. But you got Washington, who is up and coming, and Philadelphia, who are the world champs. So it's going to be a tough season, a lot tougher season than it was when you were going up against the South.
Yeah, definitely a tough season. Going in and it's something definitely to keep our eyes on, I tell you. But who knows? I've got a couple of questions for you, Pags, as we switch to baseball here the last 15 minutes of the show. Great show with B. Strilla. Check out his podcast, One ASS Cheek and Three Toes. He'll be on this afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and he's on every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That show will be changing times in May, but for now we're all set for April. So make sure you check him out. He's on the Huddle Sports Network as well. A question for you from Broski Bear. He said, "How good is Angelo's on 9th and Fitzwater?"
It is the
That's his
best
first.
cheesesteak in the city, and also probably one of the best pizzas in the city, hands down.
Okay,
Hands
he's
down.
trying.
I love. I listen. I love cheesesteaks. There's a lot of amazing cheesesteaks place, but Angelo's right now is the number one.
I
He
heard that too.
probably Googled that and tried to get on your good side, because we know he's a bigger fan. Here's a really legit question as we talk about the Phillies wrapping up and MLB. We started out talking about that at the top of the show. B. Strilla gave us a whole rundown, he and Dre Train, over MLB, including that 20-9 whopping blowdown yesterday with these new bats they've gotten, the torpedo bats that the Yankees have gotten away with. However, Brad's question says Turner and Real Muto are hurt. What are your thoughts on marching everyone?
Well, Marshawn is
Marshawn,
the
excuse me.
center that's going to be the catcher, and he's going to get his opportunity while Real Muto's hurt. I'm surprised that Real Muto, he had such a terrible opening day. He had struck out 4 times swinging. That was really a tough one. I actually, and kind of talk a little bit. I actually chose the Tigers to win the division up there. I hope that that this is just a little hiccup on coming north that they had for this opening series to go
Well,
0-3.
Well, they did play the world champions, and LA is loaded. This is no doubt.
Just a small plug in real quick, guys. I'm sorry I missed a comment from Miss Linda. She said a game manager doesn't win Super Bowls anymore. And Brent says, I can see the Vikings finishing 500 or a little better. JJ's roster is loaded with talent. Let me just grab those, and now we are full swing in baseball. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no big deal. I think I know that they played the world champs, and I tell you, I've been saying it, and I know that they started off 5-0. So I'm going to just continue to say this, though, that when they have to start to hit adversity, they are not going to go 162-0. They are not going to win 100 games. They are going to start to falter. And when they falter, there is too much money on that roster and too many egos, and you're going to have a hard time catching it back around again. So I would not be surprised to see that $500 or $600 million payroll not make the playoffs. I firmly believe that. That being said, obviously they had that one game. Had they won that extra innings game, they probably could come back and win the next day, and they didn't. And that's the reason why they're 0-3. I like the Tigers to make it to the playoffs this year. I think Cleveland's pitching is only going to do so much. Their bats are still not strong enough. As far as the Yankees go, listen, the Yankees are guess what? The Yankees are another team that ain't going to make the playoffs. They just ain't got it, and their pitching is being hurt is going to hurt them here starting in month number 2. The Phillies right now, Turner being a little bit hurt, Real Muto being a little bit hurt. I want to see the guys step up a little bit. I think Sosa was an everyday player. I was not a big fan of the Turner signing to begin with, and I think that ever since he's been here, although he has had streaks of good, he is not the player that we thought we were signing, and that's a little bit of an issue. I feel like that this was done a little bit to placate Harper and try to get Harper in the mood to be able to, or get the pieces that Harper thought would be a championship team. That being said, I'm interested to see what Edmundo Sosa does when he plays every day, because he's got a bat that can play every day. I like Marshawn. I think that he is going to do great up here, and he's going to be the catcher of our future. While JT Realmuto could possibly be trade bait in the trade deadline to an AL team for a pitcher in return, because I feel like we're going to need some pitching and maybe another bench bat. And I think that's where I would look for where JT Realmuto is going to fit in best, because they're trying to figure out what to do with him. Are they going to put him in left field? They're going to try to put him at first base. There's a backlog of designated hitters on this team with Schwarber. So I think that's part of the problem, and you're going to see JT possibly become a designated hitter somewhere in the AL.
That's gonna be big. What are your thoughts? Yesterday, was it the Yankees that beat the Brewers 20-9? What are your thoughts about these doggone torpedo bats that they've managed to get into the league, which would explain such a blowout? Basically, the grip is closer to the label, and all this stuff that New York has finagled their way in with.
Well, listen, the rules on the bats are very specific. So as long as it fits the rules of the bat, you can have the bat any way you want to. And
Mhm.
listen, if this is what it is, I mean, there was you had the tomahawk bats, the bats that felt like an axe, where that
Mhm.
you could swing with those. Again, legal. So it's
Mhm.
not like they're doing something illegal. It's just it's the way that bat manufacturer is loaded the bats, and the first three pitches are home runs. Okay, great.
Mhm.
I think that'll come back down to earth a little bit. I mean, I think that this is look, it's the bats' fault. Blah blah blah. I mean, the
Other
first three
teams might
batters
try to
on
get
the
them.
Yankees also can hit home runs. So
Mhm.
let's call that spade a spade. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and let me just address a comment, Broski. Once again, listen, my name is Sonia. You'll say Prim and Panthers. It's Prim and proper, but I am a Panthers fan. The Panthers are always my team, but I did support Detroit last year because cats roll with cats. Okay, so if they look good next year, they will continue to be supported. And I was just looking on my TikTok last night, even last year when Detroit beat Kansas City by 1 point, I posted it because I always just support them. So this was before they even, matter of fact, it was before this last season we just had. It was the previous season.
Mhm.
So you can feel free to follow me on Prim and Proper Sports on YouTube and the Pretty Sports Lady on TikTok, and talk all your banter there, okay? Pags, I'm so sorry for the interruption, but he continues to make comments.
I understand. Hey, listen. When you have haters, you're doing something right.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? I've never had him. Maybe it's finally, maybe I had to get on the Sunday morning show, and I don't
There
know
you
who
go.
brings him. I don't know which one of you all brings him over. I think it's one of B. Strilla's folks because he comes on and he's like a magnet. He just stays there and just continuously
Mhm.
hurls insults. He just can't wait. And
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, listen. Hey, the Bears have been relevant. Oh, I guess it was 1985. That
it
hasn't
was,
been
I
much.
was
The
10.
Fog Bowl. The Fog Bowl was like the last real game that they won, and then
Yeah,
they made it to the Super Bowl that one year. Oh, what happened during that Super Bowl? I think they got spanked. Yeah, it's so yeah. Let's
yeah. I
call
guess
that for real.
his
Oh,
team.
the
He's
double
not a
doink
Super Bowl.
too. I mean, Chris, that ended Chris Nagy's coaching career. I think that double doink.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that was
But
Cody
yeah, so
Parkey kicking another one for the Birds.
what's going on in hockey news up there with the Flyers?
Well, Tortorella let his mouth get in the way of
Mhm.
of his coaching, and then that's what happened there. Which it was time. It was just time.
Hmm.
I
I
feel
feel
like
like
that
that.
his coaching style gets very stale.
Hmm.
And I mean, ultimately, I don't like the name that they're bringing up. They're saying, "Oh, we're going to maybe bring back Rick Tocchet." And I'm like, listen,
Oh
if I wanted to have a coach that I could put some money on the Jets losing this season, that would be the coach I would bring in.
no.
But short of that, I mean that's really what he was known for. I mean, I'm making a joke about him being a bookie, but that being said, I don't like that. I don't like that whole idea. Oh, we're going to bring him back. Listen, the Flyers have done what the Flyers have always done, and that tries to bring back the old names to fill in voids and
Mhm.
to put up the mirage that, hey, we're trying to do everything we can. I hope they bring in a real coach. I do not look at Tocchet as a real coach. I look at him as a player's guy who knows how to deal with players' things and sometimes gets a little lucky with the lines. Short of
Hmm.
that, everywhere he has gone, he hasn't won a cup. He hasn't done any of that stuff. He's been an assistant on some cup teams, but he has not won a cup. And I want a guy who is fresh. I want somebody who knows how to win. Like I said, there's the coach from Denver, uh, not the Colorado Rockies. The actual Denver is a college team. I wouldn't mind having him. I think that this is a young team. I think you need a college style coach, somebody who can work these guys and be able to invest a system into them that's not what's been here and what's been tried and not worked in other spots. I am a huge Flyers fan. I am big on hockey. I tell people that I bled orange and black before I ever bled green. And
Mhm.
and
I
uh, so
remember.
and I want the Flyers to be relevant again. And right now they are not relevant. And
Yeah.
hockey stinks when Philadelphia is not in the mix. And they've been out of the mix for way too long. And this is what happens when you have an organization own a franchise rather than an owner who actually has a part of the day-to-day operations. And I feel like that because Comcast has owned this organization, Ed Snyder has been doing cartwheels in his grave because this team has stunk ever since he's passed. And it's time for a really big change to happen. And I was hoping that Keith Jones and Danny Briere were going to make that happen, but it sounds to me like it's more of the same. And I'm tired of the same. I want difference.
Yeah, that whole division, the Metropolitan Division, led by the Capitals and followed by my team, the Carolina Hurricanes. And just it's
See, you
unbelievable
want a
because the
coach?
Flyers are
There's a
solid.
coach. There's a coach. I would
Yeah.
love to have Rod Brindamore as coach of my team.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I want coaching my team. I
For
don't
real.
want Rick Tocchet. I want Rod Brindamore. He's been over the hump. He won his ring. We brought that team back over there again. You know what I mean? So that's the type of coach I want. Somebody who is the best guy on the ice still. He could probably play right now if he
Mhm.
wasn't so
Yeah.
old. He's
Yeah,
that
I
good.
thought that.
And I just that's who I want. I want somebody who knows how to deal with these players and actually has a good system and do that. That would get my juices flowing. Getting Rod Brindamore, giving up the first round pick to trade for Rod Brindamore to be the coach here. That would be amazing.
That would be huge. And that's so amazing how they would say they would give up picks for coaches. That's something that I was just like, wow. I remember reading that a while back and I was like, wow, they actually do that. And the fact that, you're putting that out there and, the Maple Leafs
Hey, Broski Bear. Hey,
Panthers.
Broski Bear. Isn't it great how the NHL cheats for the Blackhawks all the time and they still are bringing up the back
Yes.
end of the NHL? The NHL, they
Ain't
got
going
all these good
nowhere.
players and they still suck right now. Yeah, you
They
can
are
talk about
still running his
2010.
mouth.
You can hang your hat on that all you want, but that's great. That is 15 years ago now. 15 years ago. I've got a daughter 15 years old. Tomorrow, by the way. Her birthday is tomorrow. So
Happy
it's
Well, happy
she's
birthday.
15 years
birthday.
old then. So, and it's almost to the day that she was kind of born to that, born
Oh,
on that.
wow.
So don't tell me, I hear you, blah, 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 on your Chicago. Your team suck right now. Baseball, you guys are going to lose a combined 200 games this year. Shut up about Chicago. You suck.
Okay, so let me take this time to say good morning
I
to
like
some other
Pags.
people. Good morning, Melvin, Hooley, Truth Be Told podcast, another affiliate on the network. Good morning, super early over there on the West Coast. And Broski, you've already been addressed with all that mess. The Blackhawks are garbage. Everything in Chicago is garbage. Let me put it out there now.
And
So
to
don't
talk
talk
about
about
the
none
Red
of this.
Wings real fast, I know that
Yeah,
Brent, real quick.
yes, that comment
I'm a
for
fan
you.
of the Red Wings. It's a shame about Hockey Town. I mean, what's it been 8 years or 9 years now that they haven't made the playoffs. It's a shame. I thought that as much as I hated it, I was living in Detroit when the
Oh,
Flyers
wow.
lost the choking situation and got swept by the Red Wings. I was a big Yzerman fan. And I thought that he was going to be able to make some of the difference there after doing it in Tip. The problem is that the rules that the NHL put in place there, he's not ready to do yet. It's going to take. He's got to get the veterans there that he could sit out for the entire year and have the younger guys be strong enough to be able to handle the team so that when they make it to the playoffs, he brings back all the veterans and they can actually make a cup run. That's how the NHL is run right now. It's too odd and weird how they do that. And until they close that loophole, it's going to be done that way. So I think that he's just he's stuck in a bad situation there. But I would say look for it in 2 to 3 years. You look for Detroit and look for Philadelphia to both be back in the mix and be running the league for about the next 15 years. If the Flyers don't let Comcast do what Comcast does, which is screw it up.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
good cable, though.
You heard it here first. That is our time. Oh my goodness, what a show. Thank you so much for J Train, Keith Angle, who were on earlier, Pegs dropping in and bringing all the energy, and of course, B Strilla holding us down. So lovely every week. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments, the disagreements, the abominations that you have spit through these comments, the likes, the loves, and all that. That's what keeps us going. We hope everyone has an amazing week.
Should
Stay
follow
on the
me,
network.
Broski Bear, if you want to talk some more smack.
Broski, 1975. That's the year I was born, Broski. We wish everybody a great Sunday, and thank you guys so much. And we're signing off for now.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.